Are there secrets to getting soft light to make images like these? Just using one light? Well, I'm going to walk you through multiple lighting setups that will also teach you some basic techniques to getting soft light that I have not shown in previous videos on getting soft light. Now, you may think that you can simply bounce the light off a white wall and now you have beautiful soft light. Well, let me tell you the most important part. The distance that you have the flash away from the wall makes a huge difference. Here is an image taken with a light that is furthest away from the wall. See the large, even, dim specular highlights on the model's face? Now let's take a photo using the light closest to the wall. See the side by side? With the light closest to the wall, we now have small, bright specular highlights. The side by side shows a huge difference when the light is as far away from the wall as possible. So it makes the wall a larger light source relative to the size of your subject, and therefore appears softer. I'm using a boom to get the light as far away from the wall as possible, but not have the light stand in the shot. I'm using a V-flat to bounce some light back onto the right side of our model's face, and this setup is great for full-length fashion. I did extend the background in post to fill the frame for this video. Beauty shots also look good in this light. The light is 11 feet from the wall and our model is 6 feet from the background. I'm using a Profoto umbrella reflector to eliminate some spill of the light directly hitting the seamless paper, so more bounce comes off the wall. This is one of the simpler lighting setups you can do, and it mostly depends on the size of the room you have. And if you have white walls to bounce the light off of. Here's another look at some of the finished images we shot on this set. This lighting, it makes skin look amazing, and you could do it with a speed light if you wanted to. The size of the room does make a difference. If I had a tighter space, I may use a softbox or beauty dish to start off with a larger light source to illuminate a larger part of the wall. Another thing that you can look at if doing this in a smaller room is to make sure the light is shooting over you. Just make sure it doesn't flare out the lens. Now imagine the V-flat as a wall in a room. You get the light coming from head on and it wraps around the model more, giving you different looks than the shot of the light coming from the side. A small studio will give you the advantage of not losing as much power as the light bounces around. If you don't have white walls, try bouncing into a white seamless paper or a bed sheet next to a wall. Also, you can quickly flip your V-flat around and you get a completely different look. Here, I'm using black. Also, feel free to use any background color you like with this setup. This light imitates a bank of windows behind you with indirect light streaming in. So in the first series, we learned the distance of the light from the wall makes the wall a larger light source relative to the size of your subject, and thus it's softer. We also learned you can change your position from the light coming from the side to it coming from in front to also give you a different look. Now let's get dramatic, because we all know the white wall trick. These next images are my absolute favorite, and it's a quick setup if you want to give your client something special, plus it flatters absolutely everyone. Use this for maternity, fashion, beauty, as a simple go-to setup. I simply ask our model to go to the other side of the V-flat, and I'm still firing the light from its same position, but all the light is now bouncing around the room. I have turned the room into a giant light tent. It literally makes your subject glow. If you're in a small room, having a light with a fully exposed flash tube will be to your advantage, as it will more easily light the ceiling and side walls to bounce around the room more efficiently. If you don't have a black V-flat, I would actually recommend using a half roll of black seamless, and in hindsight, it probably would have looked better, or a piece of black velvet would have been less reflective for an even darker background. Also, don't be afraid of happy accidents. That's how I got to these shots, by simply seeing what would happen. And when I thought the width of the V-flat was too constricting, I simply used the contrast of the white and black to my advantage. You see the blown out white wall in the background and the V-flat to the model's left? I did refine the edge of the V-flat in post, and before you think you need a huge studio to get these results, please try it out and trust me. You may actually stumble upon something unique to the space that you're working in. Now, we have discussed the lighting to make it look like it comes from the windows by using the wall, depending on how high your ceilings are tall. But now we're gonna put a softbox on a roller and make it crawl. Y'all skeet, 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 skeet. Sorry, I don't know, that probably doesn't translate. All right, back to the show. I tried a little humor, tried to break away, didn't work. So Let's just do this. In this next example, I want to reiterate the relative size of the light to the size of your subject using a modifier instead of the wall. First, I'm going to use the Elinchrom Octa only 2 feet away from our model. You can see it produces beautiful soft light that almost makes the skin look like glass. Also, because the light is so close, it gives us a very large, even direct highlight. The direct highlight brightness is affected by how bright the light source is, and having it close, it doesn't need to be as bright to properly expose our model. But now we move the light back, it needs to become brighter to properly expose our model, and now the direct highlights are very bright and smaller because the relative size of the light source is smaller. In a side-by-side, you see the difference between the highlights on the tip of the nose, the lips, and even the brightness of the catch lights in the eyes. Because the light is further away, it also illuminates more of the room as well. So the closer you get your light to your subject, the softer it will become. Here are some more images taken with this light, and the background was extended in post, just so you don't think I'm trying any tricks here. But I wanted to fill the frame for video. Now you may ask the question, what about just adding diffusion? Well, diffusion doesn't give you the same effect as changing the relative size of your light source unless the diffusion is actually changing the relative size of your light. But scattering the light may not have as large of an effect as you think. To test this, I took a Fresnel lens, which is very focused, direct source, put a diffusion cover directly over the light so its size stayed the same, but one is more scattered than the other. Here are the results. On the left, you see the bare Fresnel, and on the right, you see the diffused Fresnel. The diffused light is more scattered, so it lights the dress more evenly, and you'll see it lights the background more evenly as well, and the only thing we sacrifice is a bit of power. But when you take a close look at the skin, you can see the direct highlights or specular highlights are very similar, if not indistinguishable. So simply diffusing a light source or putting a sock on it does change how direct the light source is, and if the diffusion is placed feet or inches away from the direct source, it makes the light effectively bigger. But just putting it directly over the source like I have on this for now does more to scatter the light and make it less direct than it does to actually make it softer. I would love to see you in the comments below as I look to answer every single comment, good or bad, or even if you just want to suggest another way to get soft light. Because as you know, there are levels to this.